Started. All right, go for it.
Okay, so we're the dust collector team. I'm Max.
I'm Michael.
I'm Josh.
We couldn't see Josh.
Oh,
Yeah, the camera's really blurry.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
There he is.
Hi.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the book?
So like, like in space, like you gotta,
Have a big astronaut glove,
yeah, you
right?
gotta have a like big astronaut glove to like, I don't know, protect you from space. So like, we put two of these gloves on top of each other.
No,
So
we
that,
put them.
oh wait, no, we put them inside of each other,
Yeah.
so that like it simulates how hard it is to grab things in space, so that we can use that to like help design our prototype.
Yeah, for the handle.
Yeah,
Um,
for the
and
handle.
we tested like we have this kind of like uh Scotch tape, double-sided tape dispenser, which we'll talk about later in our design. But we tested just grabbing it without any handle, and it was really hard. So we decided to like test a PVC pipe.
Mhm.
Tape
Um,
it off. Yeah.
just like a better handle, like diameter. So we use that in our prototype as well for the handle. So I think that's why it's good. Um, and here in our design, we had to talk about whatever.
Yeah, it's
Is there?
showcasing how uh if like dust is like collected onto the tape, it'll roll back into that second section of tape.
And that is that a commercial off the shelf product?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So our current design looks like we just took this off the shelf product and put on a stick.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like we would do something where we have this tape roller. Right now it's a double-sided tape dispenser, but we can make it so it doesn't dispense tape, it just picks up dust so the tape doesn't leave.
And rolls back.
And then it just rolls back and we showed you the video of how it would roll back. And we have the big hype is to like, pick it up better with the glove.
Yeah.
I don't know. This would make it so that you could just collect the tape and it's already rolled up in a little roll. And then you just would either put this in a box, which you could just like put it into the box like that. And then you could put a lid on the box and it should be airtight so that the air wouldn't ever
Yeah.
um like touch the dust.
Vacuum
So the
seal.
only thing that might contaminate it is the adhesive, and that's like about it.
Mhm.
That's our slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you show us your model? Do you already 3D print it?
We haven't 3D printed the container, but we're probably gonna 3D print it just to we're gonna put foam in it in a certain way that it really is a really snug fit.
Uh-huh.
The
Okay.
design.
Okay. And uh, is the astronaut going to do this outside? So after they got the dust on the tape outside, they're going to put it in while they're still outside, they're going to put it into this container.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've started our 3D modeling, so probably for their final prototype, we're gonna make this from scratch. We have some gears that we could use as the two different roles.
Sure.
They're just gears.
They can't really see it, but okay.
Yeah.
Um,
If you hold your little double-sided tape dispenser up,
Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
uh,
Yeah, if you guys stop sharing, you can
yeah.
probably we can get a bigger image of what you have there.
All
So
right.
stop sharing your PowerPoint. There you go.
Yeah,
And I pin you. There you go. Now hold it up.
Wait.
One.
Let's see your double. Yeah, yeah.
this is the tape dispenser
Mm-hmm.
part, and take out just the middle part so you can kind of look at it like that. You were gonna have some lid form, I mean some like shell that you could put around it and take off, but
Mm-hmm. So so there's several things you have to consider when you're doing this outside the space station, right? Can you name some things that you have to consider?
microgravity.
Okay, the astronauts and everything's on microgravity. So what do you do to what are the requirements when you're considering microgravity?
Well, everything needs to be secure. It can't like float away.
Right.
So we're thinking about using Velcro as like
Okay.
securement. Be like attached to the glove specifically. Like you could wrap this around the glove. It could be attached to the handle, so it's just better secure like grip. And then everything else. This is a pretty like compact thing, so it shouldn't really come apart in space. But we'll make sure it doesn't. You know.
Hmm. Okay. So microgravity, what else do you have to consider?
Well, there's gonna be no air, so it has to function in a vacuum. And I think that's probably the biggest. I mean, that's not going to really be a problem if there's just no air. I don't know. The latex might. We'll test some latexes. We'll test some like some different tapes that we could use.
Mhm. So actually, that's an important consideration because you are going to do it in a vacuum and it's going to be in that box. And what's going to happen when you take it into it's sealed? What's going to happen when you take that box, which is in a vacuum, into the space station, which isn't a vacuum?
Yeah, there's gonna be pressure. You want to?
Yeah. Well, we'd have to make it strong enough to resist the air pressure from the outside going in, right?
Yeah. Or at least make it so it can collapse without breaking apart, right? Some
Yeah.
kind of material doesn't, you're thinking of solid material, but it doesn't have to be solid material, right? So there's one other thing you have to take into be consideration. What's the other thing that the astronauts have outside the space station?
The
The,
space. I don't know.
the temperature.
Oh,
That's a bummer, right? It's plus and minus 250 degrees. You think that tape dispenser could withstand that degrees?
Plastic.
Yeah, yeah. But that's okay because I don't care what you make your prototype out of, but you need to do the research that NASA would make it out of that could withstand those difference in temperatures. Not just the container, but also the tape is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one other issue. What kind of residue
Yeah.
will the tape put onto the dust? And how in the world are we going to get the dust off that tape? Those are all issues you gotta think about carefully. Okay. But I want to hear from Dave and Stacy.
So that's very interesting. One thing that I think's fascinating is that in your procedure, what you do is at the end of collecting the dust, you go ahead and roll it so that there's a layer of tape that then closes off the last outer ring so that it actually, when you bring it in, it could protect it from the environment of the inside the space station for the most part, right? So the other thing is that, right, when it goes outside, that adhesive goes to basically 0 psi. And so what outgassing is going to be the effect of having no pressure on that tape, on that adhesive? What is it going to do in that environment, along with the temperature, which Flo's already brought up? So the other thing is it seems like that's pretty narrow. So I would look at widening it to some extent. But I'd also have are you going to try to enclose it outside? You said you're going to make this box, but so if you're going to try to do it outside, and I really kind of think that if you roll up the tape some more to protect it, that you could actually do this inside and still protect it because you're taping over the entire circumference of it. And so I think you're probably going to be protected And you could do this inside without gloves, take it out, take it apart, that type of thing. Now your mechanism is rolling up. It appears that it's rolling up the dispenser and the take-up reel. Does that make sense? At the same time? And so when you have different diameters on those two, how is it compensating for what? I mean, is the take-up reel, I mean, for a double-sided tape dispenser, what it's doing is it's wrapping up the waste, right, of the tape. It's not really pulling in the tape itself. But
Yeah, and we thought about that a little bit. Like, obviously, this is not we're not going to use double-sided tape, but we'll use some.
sure.
But the
Right.
mechanism is really unique.
So guys, can you hold your dispenser up there again?
Right. Turn the other side. We want to see
yeah.
the other side.
The other side, the other side. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. The gear mechanism.
Right.
So it looks like there's a gear on the main thing, and it rolls the other side too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but there's a ratio there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can compensate for that, right? You know, interestingly, I looked at I was on a video call with Glenn Johnson yesterday about this project, and he held up an example of a whiteout dispenser. Are you guys familiar with those as well? There's a lot of different systems. You know, whiteout is something you can use to just kind of cover over some ink and
Right.
redo.
But it does the same thing
But
as this.
it's the same thing, and the whole idea is you can create a system that dispenses and a second reel that takes all of this up with some kind of a gearing so that they're working in sync with each other. And what I would suggest you do is, since you have an idea there, you can rebuild this any way you want. You could make it a lot bigger, and you could actually widen the tape itself, right? So that you're actually covering a larger surface area. I like the fact that you're already thinking about gloves, but again, I would encourage you to increase the size of this, because when an astronaut is in these pressurized gloves, just the act of, you know, kind of closing their fingers, they're working to do this, right? It's they're expending a lot of calories, and it would be advantageous both from their standpoint of holding this thing and controlling it, as well as being able to gather dust from a larger surface area to increase the whole size and structure of this. I'm also thinking that, you know, it looks as though from your drawing, you wanted to put this into another container, right?
Yeah, that was
The whole system in there. Okay, so now what you're dealing with is, of course, you've got multiple pieces that somebody has to control and deal with, you know, in a microgravity environment. So, you know, think about that as well. But I think you've got a good, you know, you got a good concept here. I think you can really flesh this out and make it a much more usable piece. And the one thing that, you know, to keep in mind, it's a challenge to design this, right? We're talking about collecting dust. There is a whole nother aspect that both Stacy and Flo brought up, which is, okay, now you're going to put this into something, you got to bring it back inside and go through an analysis. And that's a whole new kettle of fish. Don't concern yourself with that right now, right? You got enough to do just to build a functional system that will collect this dust. So don't don't get too strung out on too many different fronts, right? You have a great concept here. You should continue to keep building on it. And as you do, you're probably going to start realizing, oh, well, now we have this material. This is the next step we could take to start the analysis process. But stay on what you're doing right now. You've got a great idea.
Yeah, I totally agree with both Stacy and Dave. I would definitely make my own tape dispenser using that design, but make it bigger because that's just like a half an inch tape. Make it several inches, and that would also make it easier for the astronaut consider their gloves and a great way. You have to figure out a great way to hold it with the astronaut, and also maybe even tethered to his spacesuit, because otherwise that would have the potential of flying away. I also tried different types of tape. Who knows? Who knows what? Do some research. What kind of tape would actually attract that cosmic dust? It's not the same as sticky tape on Earth. It might be totally different. It might be Kapton tape that would do a great job and easy to get the dust off. I don't know what kind of tape. That's some also research. So I like that Dave says, hey, concentrate on this right now, because not only do you have to collect the dust, but you also have to get the dust off of this tape dispenser, off of the tape, without contaminating the dust with the stuff that's on the tape. And then temperature plays a big part onto your what kind of tape even you're going to use. You can build your prototype out of anything you want. If you do CAD, if you do 3D drawings, make sure you give NASA those 3D drawings so we can make it, reuse it. And also think about the way the astronaut would get the tape on and off of that tape dispenser. The ease. And I don't know if you've ever watched the video on the tape dispenser that we sent up to space. Have you guys got to see that? I'll send you the link to that. I want you to see the tape dispenser for the ISS that the HUNCH students designed, and they got rid of everything they didn't need, and just the important parts, and the ease of taking the tape off and on the tape dispenser was also important.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions?
So you talked about a tether. What kind of do you use to like tether? Is it like a specific one, or could we just create our own? Or like what's like the attachment point looking like?
So the attachment point would be onto the space suit, and you'll have to research that. I don't know what kind of attachment points that they have on the spacesuits. Stacy or Dave, do you have any suggestions on that? I don't really know.
So, I mean, you're probably looking for something that's a little bit retractable. It would clip on a loop on the suit, but and then it would retract it out of the way. It just depends on how big this ends up being.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So maybe even a loop. That would be cool. A retractable loop. Okay. Any other question?
I don't have any questions.
No.
You're good? And you can always ask questions. Just copy your teacher on it.
I think Dave had to go.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I see Billings Career Center is here too. Do you have any questions, Billings Career Center? They might just have it on. They might not have kids there. Oh, here they are.
So one of the things is, the take-up reel. If the take-up reel is what you're pushing against the item you're trying to collect the dust from, then you probably don't need gearing. You could just let the supply reel just
Pull it
just
back.
just let it pull it right off of there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so that'd be the question, is if it would be too sticky to still let it roll. But it probably doesn't have to be very sticky to get the dust to stay
Mhm.
on it.
Yeah.
And
All
then you have to worry about the stickiness contaminating it. So,
Right.
Mhm.
Making sure that, yeah.
but when you do some testing, and so take some videos of it collecting the dust, and then also of the dust being separated from your tape.
But good job, guys. That's a really good find right there.
Yeah, that was really good. That, that's what NASA does. They actually find commercial off the shelf things and modify it. That saves a lot of work. So thank you so much. And thank you, Stacy, for joining us again. We appreciate all of your input.
You're welcome. And for y'all out there in Olympia,
Washington. Yeah.
in Washington, I am going to try to plan a trip out there. Probably probably April timeframe, maybe March, to try to visit with the Washington and Oregon schools, since I've never been out there.
Yeah, that would be great. Actually, the teacher was talking. We have a Montana in February the 18th. We're going to have a review, and he was thinking that was kind of close, but that's not very close at all. That's like really
No,
far.
it's not close to go from where they are at
Yeah.
to the middle of Montana. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you all so much. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Mr. Woodbridge.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, team. Bye-bye. Thanks.